G'day guys, how you going? Hope you're all having a fantastic evening. I'm back again. I'm going to be doing another review for you all tonight. So hopefully this review is as enjoyable as my past reviews have been. It's a French horror film, so English subtitles, but if subtitles really aren't your thing, the North American release of this film, I'm not sure about other releases, but the North American release has an optional English dub. So if you don't like reading while watching, then that should prove a solution for you. So it was made in 1990, directed by Alain Roback, and this film is called Baby Blood. And the story is as follows. It is a parasite from the dawn of creation, surviving centuries in search of the one thing it needs, to be born of a human. But when this cunning creature slithers inside a sexy circus performer, it demands gallons of fresh blood to grow stronger. Now this reluctantly expectant mummy and her chatty mutant fetus are off on a cross-country killing spree, where prenatal care means violent carnage, horny men make tasty meals, and the ultimate mother's milk is baby blood. So the film starts off at this circus. We've got a circus performer who is played by the beautiful Emmanuelle Escarou. She's a circus performer that has been abused quite a bit. Her co-workers treat her like crap, and her boyfriend, who is the head of this circus, both physically and verbally abuses this woman. So straight away you get a level of sympathy for her, and you really do feel for her because she really is an environment that is very hostile. So this circus have recently purchased a new animal. It is a leopard fresh from Africa. But this leopard is acting very, very strangely, and then one day, out of nowhere, it just explodes. So there are bits and pieces of this leopard everywhere, and the scene where it happens is actually quite gory. And initially, the circus workers believe that this is the work of another animal. So they're searching the circus grounds for this animal responsible, but what they didn't know is that the leopard was harboring a parasite that has been around since the dawn of creation. So many, many centuries it's been around, and it's been looking for a female to basically be born of a human. So that's its goal, and that's what it's here for. So it's gained freedom from this leopard, and it's slithering around undetected on circus grounds. Meanwhile, the main character, she's sleeping in her caravan, and this creature makes its way into the caravan, up onto her bed, under her blankets, in between her legs, and then straight up. Days later, and she realizes that she's pregnant. This comes as a huge shock, and she doesn't know how this happened, but to her horror, she realizes that this is not a human fetus, this is a creature. And it's growing inside her, and it can communicate with her. It's basically talking, and it's telling her what she must do. To start with, she wants to terminate the pregnancy, but basically the fetus tells her that if she terminates it, it will terminate her. And to demonstrate its power, it basically causes excruciating pain inside her belly. So she's at the mercy of this horrible creature. And what this creature needs to gain strength to be able to be born is human blood. So she's reluctantly going cross-country and killing people. She's basically becoming a serial killer. She doesn't want to do this, but if she refuses, then the fetus will turn on the pain again. So as each kill is made, she's basically feeding the blood to it, and it's becoming stronger and stronger. And then as the film progresses, she realizes that if she gives birth to this horrible creature, all hell is going to break loose. But at the same time, if she doesn't do what it says, it's going to cause pain to her, and it could cost her her life. So she really is in a tricky situation. She has to find a way to terminate this baby without it, terminating her. So that's a basic synopsis. If you want to know more, then I would highly recommend you go and check this one out. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but hopefully I've given enough synopsis to create some interest for you to go out there and see the film for yourself. Now my thoughts on the film. Being from 1990, obviously this is not going to be a new wave French horror, but I was really, really interested to see what French horror could deliver from the older days. Now, obviously there are French films that are much older than this in the horror genre, but this is the one that really got the ball rolling as far as gore goes. So I was really interested to see it. A lot of hype surrounded it, and I can say that it did live up to the hype. It wasn't my favourite French horror film, but I was actually surprised because it was very reminiscent of the later stuff. I will say that the tone to this film is much lighter than the new wave of French horror. This could almost qualify as a horror comedy, more of a dark humour film. So if this is the thing for you, you like your dark comedies with a lot of gore, then I would definitely say check this one out. I prefer the new wave a little bit more. I think the French do it better when they're more serious, But this one was a breath of fresh air, and it does create something different. And being from 1990, you didn't want something that is directly reminiscent of a new wave French horror film. You want something a little bit different. So this does have new wave qualities about it, but then it has qualities to make it its own. The acting in the film was very, very cheesy, although I think the main actress in the film, Emmanuel Escarou, did a very good job at portraying someone very real, and that was very. You don't see that very often in a dark sort of humour film. Other performances from other actors weren't so good. I thought there were some very cheesy characters that I didn't really like, but I thought it was really good that they were brutally slaughtered. And for a film this old, I was actually quite surprised at the level of graphic violence. There is some very, very disturbing violence, and there's also some very funny violence. So the director really blended in disturbing and funny very, very well. So when you're really feeling disturbed and shocked, then moments later a very funny scene will happen. So it really lightens the mood straight away, and it carries a very fresh approach, and it never really bogs down. It doesn't go straight out comedy, and it doesn't go straight out horror, gore fest, disturbing. It has a very fine mix, and that's what I liked about it so much. It's very different from the usual new wave French horror, but it does still stay in the French sort of horror category, meaning that it is very different from your usual American stuff. It's much better, and you can really tell that the new wave have been influenced by films such as this because of its graphic nature. Now, I will say that this is much, much better than the sequel, which happened many, many years ago. Personally, I don't know why this needed a sequel. Lady Blood I thought was really bad, and the downfall to Lady Blood was that it tried to be a serious film. And for a film with this sort of story, it can't be serious. It really has to be light-hearted, and it didn't have any comedy value in the sequel, and that's what made it really bad. But this film, it never pretends to be anything that it's not. It is a straight out, a fun ride. It's very, very gory, and but it will never really depress you, because although the actual story is quite scary, at the same time it's funny. So you will get a lot out of this one. If you want to kick back and have a film that won't make you think, I would definitely recommend this one. As I said, the gore is very good. Emmanuel Escarou gets nude a few times, so if you want to see some boobs, if you're a pervert, this will satisfy your perverted needs. It has a bit of everything. There's comedy, gore, nudity, sex. So, all in all, a very enjoyable film. I wouldn't say it matches up to the new wave, but if you want to broaden your horizon as far as French horror goes, then this one is definitely one to pick up, because it's certainly one that you have to have in your collection, and I'm sure that a lot of you won't regret having a look at this one. So that's my review of Baby Blood. A very, very fun film, but I really preferred this more serious French horror. But this is something a little bit different. It's a lot of fun. If you want to sit back on a Friday night and watch a film that you don't have to worry about or don't have to think about, and just want a good old gore fest, then this is one that will definitely not disappoint you. Alright guys, that's my review of Baby Blood. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you later. Bye.